Hello! Happy Wednesday, everyone. Here today to talk to you a little bit about that article that I posted earlier that we were chatting about cooking and about Americans' desire to not cook. And I'm really curious about what you have to think about it. There were a couple of people that posted about it. In fact, people brought up some really great points. I'm going to bring it up and see if I can pull it up. Because this is, to me, it's really fascinating. I work with clients who, most of them are, I've talked about the 5 wisdom bodies, right? We talk about the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, the energetic body, and the spiritual body. And how that physical body, what we eat, how we move our bodies, how much sleep we get, can affect all those different bodies, and how all those other wisdom bodies can affect the physical body, right? It's reciprocal. We can't really separate them. So one of the things that we talked about, or that this article talked about, is that 90% of Americans don't like to cook. And the title is, and it's costing them thousands of dollars, which it is, right? It's more expensive most of the time to go out to eat. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about with, what I was talking about with food swamps and food deserts too, is that sometimes it is cheaper to go out and get the cheeseburger, the $1 value meal. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's more healthy. Okay, so here's what I see as the big 3, right, that people were talking about. One, it is time. How much time do you have? And that I hear a lot, well, I don't have enough time to cook, right? Because it does often take time to prepare food, to cook dinner at night, especially in that time crunch of we go home, we pick up the kids, we have homework to do, they have homework to do, we might have emails that we haven't finished up with, or other things from work, like sometimes I had papers to grade. I have 2 boys, 7 and 11, and so it's a little bit easier as they get older, but it was really hard when it's 1 o'clock. I wish I got home at 1 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock. I've just picked them up. They're starving already because they're little, and they haven't seen me all day because I've been at work, or they've been at school or at daycare. So that's something to consider, right? When we talk about cooking, it's not just always about cooking. Do we like to cook? Well, maybe, but what about that time factor that's a part of it? And maybe it's not what we value. In going back to one of the other things we've talked about, what do you value? Where do you put your time? And maybe, I had a friend many years ago who said, yeah, I don't cook a big meal. We sit down together and we talk. And so that I can talk to them, I'm making them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and because I value my time with them, with her children. So I always thought that was really interesting, that particular perspective, because it's a valid perspective to have, to value our time. So if time is a big issue, right, that's one of them. How much time do I have? And how much time do I want to put forward to it? And then the other piece that goes along with that is not just the cooking, but the cleaning up that goes into the time. So there's the food prep of grocery shopping, there's the food prep of planning the meals, there's the food prep of actually cooking, and then there's the time of washing the dishes, right? So even though some people might actually enjoy cooking, they don't want to take the time to do that. Hey Teresa, how are you? So that's one piece of it that seemed to unfold as we talk about that, is there's that cooking piece of it, the time piece of it. Then the second piece that seems to come in is the money, right? That often it can be more financially doable to be cooking. Depending on what you're cooking, we can buy really expensive food to make at home, but we can also buy really expensive food to go out. We can buy really cheap food, but it does, Debbie, one of my friends, pointed out that going out to lunch and having $7 to $10 lunches every day really adds up to a budget that's, depending on what you have for your lunch, that can be a big difference. So we have time, We have money. How much money are you spending when you're cooking, or how much money are you spending when you're going out to eat? And then the third piece that I think often, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me, that for me is one of the things that I notice the most is that when I go out to eat, I actually most of the time don't feel as good when I go out to eat, even to places that are considered healthy. And so much of what we have available to us in going out to eat is actually either it's not healthy, or we don't know that it's not healthy. Like, it looks healthy. There's this salad, right? That's health. It's got to be healthy. But maybe it's not, organic is one of the things that's important to me, because of the link with the chemicals and cancer. Nutritional dense food, that making sure that it has lots of vitamins and minerals available to it. And then the type of things that people sneak in when you go out to eat that you don't know. Like, I like to look at labels. I really like to look at labels. It is really fascinating to me what's in the food. And I'll think, oh, this is healthy. This is this great salad. Oh, and this dressing, it's balsamic vinaigrette. It's got to be healthy, right? It's not ranch. And then you look at the ingredients, if you have access to it, and you see the sugar or the corn syrup or, the additives and preservatives that are included in it. So to me, what's going on in our culture is a combination of these factors. We're really busy. We have extremely busy lives. It's what's valued in our society is you've got to be busy, and sometimes it's only what we have is that we have to work really long hours, or really it's just that job that you have, depending on the time. Maybe you have to work late. I see that I'm running low on battery, so we'll see how long I can last. But having that particular time available to you is a huge, right? It's huge to be able to not be rushed. So we have these really busy lives. We have this society that values being busy, and a society that says, well, you can just pick something up. And then our taste buds change, right? Of what we think sounds good to us. Oh, that burger from there, that just sounds really good because it has lots of fat that our body wants, right? Our body wants fat. It just can't tell the difference between a healthy fat and a non-healthy fat. It just knows it wants fats. Our brains get trained to the sugar, and then actually crave that as well. So it craves the sugar, craves the fat. It craves the salt if we're having that as well, which is usually eating out has high sodium, high fat, low nutritional value. So there's that health piece, right, that we're looking at, and what the mouth wants, what the mouth thinks it wants, and then there's what the body wants. What does the body really need right now? Maybe it's more iron, maybe it's an avocado for fat, and how can we give that to it? So I'm really curious about some different ways. These are the things, let me tell you some tips that I've included, because I get it. I pick up my kids. It's very busy. Meal planning has been huge for me, to sit down each week and have a list, look at our calendar. Well, Monday's really busy because we've got a band concert we have to go to. I don't get off, I teach a class. These are the things that are happening in between. How can you schedule in your meals in such a way that actually can support you during the week? So are there things that are really fast that I can cook at home? Are there things, maybe there is a night where there's just nothing else I can do. I have to pick up food. And making sure that meal planning happens ahead of time to set myself up for success. So I do that. I usually do it on Sundays. I set up my meals, I set up my grocery list, and then I go to the grocery and I have those foods on hand for the week. Some people like to batch prep. I'm not really a big fan of that, just because it didn't work for me, but I think it's great if you can do that. If you can cook a bunch of foods on Sunday or Saturday, fantastic, or put it in the freezer and take it out. I like to cook each night and make sure I have food that takes 30 minutes to cook. If it takes an hour, it's because I've stuck it in the oven and I'm hanging out with my kids, working on homework while the food is cooking and not in the kitchen. So the other piece is then watching for money, right? How much does it cost? Oh, and then with those meals that I have for dinner, I have leftovers for lunch. So then I know that it's something that I like. I know that it tastes good. I know that it's more interesting than just eating a sandwich, but I always have a lunch, something for lunch that is quick and easy. For me, hummus is my go-to with a pile of vegetables or a salad. It takes me 5 minutes to put it together and have it ready for the next day. And I always do that the night before I prep my lunch for the morning, because mornings are crazy. And then the money part, for me, it's less expensive to have a meal of beans and potatoes and a green. It's really cheap. Or a lentil stew, cook something in a crock pot or a rice cooker, can be really inexpensive. So I find things that are not as expensive, that are not, crazy long to cook, that have a short ingredient list, and things that my family loves. So I hope this is helpful. I am curious. Tell me if you like to cook. Tell me what your block is. Is it time? Is it money? Is it just not liking the foods that you have to cook? I would love to hear. Tell me about it in the comments and let me know, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.